So guys, hope you liked that nice little intro and showing you guys the basics to this survival hack to make your Zippos significantly better for survival situations. And if you were like me and you don't use your Zippo that much or only in a survival situation, this nice, quick, and simple hack will help you to keep the fuel a lot longer, significantly longer in your Zippo. And not only that, this basic hack also helps make your Zippo more water resistant. It won't make it waterproof, but it'll certainly go a long way. And say you drop this thing in a puddle or whatever happens to it in this condition, it will certainly help prevent your Zippo from getting fouled by water. And anyways guys, that is the basics to this simple little hack. And to explain what this material is, this is just bicycle inner tubing. This is a little bit larger bicycle inner tubing because you kind of need it to accommodate the size, the width of the Zippo. But that is the basics to that is the basics to this hack. Now that we've looked at this very basic and what I carry, pretty much everyday carry for my survival Zippo, this is what this looks like. But now let's get into actually a survival kit based around the Zippo. This is what the Zippo survival kit essentially looks like, and I just put a lot of thought into it, kind of played with it just to see what all I could accomplish with this, and I think overall it turned out pretty well. So let's break this thing down. So starting off, you'll notice here that I have two different layers of bands. One here, of course, just like this one, to help keep the fluid in here and to help keep this from, drying out. And this one down here serves a slightly different purpose, and that is to hold all of the kit together. So the basics to this kit are starting off with cordage. So with the Zippo, and I knew this going into the Zippo, it doesn't have a lot of room, so I wasn't able to accommodate paracord just because, like I said, there's not that much room here to really hold paracord. So what I did instead was I took some tripwire, army tripwire, and this is about 6 feet of army tripwire, and this stuff is pretty good. I mean, it's not as good as paracord, and I would prefer paracord on any other day, anytime I can get it, because it's more useful. But having around 6 feet of cordage, even if it is just tripwire cordage, is significantly better than having absolutely no cordage. So that's the first piece, and that's actually the only piece on here. I also want to note that in an emergency situation, I did set the Zippo up that even with all the contents on it, you can still pop this thing and light it off. Hope you guys can see that. So you can't quite close it because obviously the rubber, but you'd have to move the rubber a little bit. But in an absolute emergency situation, I did set this Zippo up that if you had to use the lighter, everything was still accessible, even with the cordage on there. I just forgot to show that because I just remembered that. But anyways, I did want to note that because I wanted to make sure that, especially if, say, your hands are cold or whatever, for whatever reason, you just needed to instantly pop and light it, you can definitely still do that, even with this entire kit on it. So the next parts are all on this side, and one that I just kind of threw in just for the fun of it was just a simple pair of tweezers. If I can get them out of here, just a simple pair of tweezers. And like I said, there was just a little bit of room. I thought I'd throw them on there for the fun of it. Next part is a tops whistle. I really like using the tops whistles for a lot of my survival kits because they're very, very flat, and they lay flat against things, unlike things like the Fox 40 Micro, which is a great whistle, but it's just really round and it doesn't like to sit well when it needs to sit flat. The next part is, of course, a ferro rod. This is a 5/16, just blank rod for ferro rod, and you can pair that with the tweezers as a striker to get some striking. And once again, just having a little bit of redundancy with fire lighting. You never want to be solely betting on the lighter to work, and so in this kit I wanted to make sure that I had some extra source. And of course, this ferro rod, if nothing else, this ferro rod, if it gets wet, it can still strike and still make fire. So the next part, of course, now we're down to the base, is this little piece of rubber banding. This is, of course, what held this entire kit together. And now to other cordage. So once again, I knew that working with a Zippo, I worked, this is such a small space that the land here available to use for adding cordage, and cordage is one of the hardest things to add to a survival kit because you want lots and lots and lots of feet of it, but it can be really hard to find the real estate for it. So what I did was, in addition to the 6 feet of tripwire, I also added 6 feet of 100-mile-an-hour tape, but 100-mile-an-hour tape in its stock configuration is nearly as large as the Zippo itself. So what I did was I cut it in half. So this is 2 3-foot sections of 100-mile-an-hour tape here on the bottom, and that's just, of course, like spooled over it. And like I said, I wanted to add this because it adds just another cordage option, and of course you can cut this smaller still to make it even better. So that is the basics to this entire kit. It's pretty basic. I didn't want to add too much just junk to this kit. I wanted to keep it simple, and like I said, one of the big things I wanted to continue to do was, with all this kit on, still be able to spark the lighter and still have it work, so that if you had to, you could still start fires with all this stuff on there.